I want to talk today about the idea of semantic distance in content writing and content planting, and how humans and machines might write content a little bit differently, and whether that's good or bad, and how that might appear to search engine retrieval systems like Google. So I don't know if you've ever thought about the idea of semantic distance, but one thing that I think is kind of interesting is when I was a kid, I used to get involved. I used to use Tony Buzan's. Well, actually, this one came out when I was a bit older. Tony Buzan's Book of Genius, but Tony Buzan back in the 70s was he was lateral. He invented lateral thinking and all sorts of concepts around lateral thinking and how humans can be creative by jumping out of their paradigm and starting to approach problems from different directions. And I think that is very interesting when it comes to how search engines might decide whether your content is the right content for a user, because it may be that you want to be creative, but you're unlikely to get seen in search engines, or you don't want to be creative to get seen in search engines, but then that gives you some problems if you're an innovative company. So what I can really do is sort of suggest how the world might work, and then let you come up with your own philosophy. So Edward de Bono, he's all over the place. You can see him. He's got books and things on natural thinking, and it is something to think about. It's a very sort of human approach to creativity. But the idea of semantic distances in Google Scholar has an awful lot of information about semantic distance and how people are trying to see whether one entity is semantically close to another entity and why it might why it might matter. So here's one I pulled out. What can quantitative measures of semantic distance tell us about creativity? That's how I came to sort of thinking about Edward de Bono in all of this process. But the idea here is that, if a search engine is trying to find the right answer to a user's query, then the question is for the search engine is, do I choose something that's a long way from the semantic tree of what the user is asking for in the results, or do I just stick with what's there? And that's one for the search engines to work out. But I think we can use the knowledge that saying something a million miles away from the tree might be bad for search. So let's take an example. So this is on DixonJones.com. I'm talking about all these sorts of ideas over the years. It's a very old website, and this kind of like puts together how semantically close ideas are to each other, and of course the closeness of ideas may well depend on the context in which you're using them. So in this particular one, search engine optimization and PageRank and web crawlers and hyperlinks are kind of really closely related around to the same sort of idea. But it doesn't always go according to plan, because we're creative people. So for example, within the vertical of society, this website talks about public speaking, problem solving, awards and case studies. And then, in this inner ring of things we think are, more relevant than the things that are in the outer ring, we've got this concept of dirt. Now, is this website really talking about dirt? That's an interesting question. Let's find out. So if I go and have a look at the knowledge graph that underlines this, why on earth did the machines think that dirt was a concept here? Well, if I look up dirt in here, then we got it down here. We can see that it's not very significant. We've got all these ideas above dirt that we think that this website is about, but it's mentioned dirt at least in there. And why is that? Well, let's find it. Hold on. Well, when I click on dirt, I can see that I've used it in a page where I've called it Structured Data, a Dirty Little Secret. And way back on the day, it was ranking for the phrase, position 55 for the phrase dirty markup. That may be relevant. So now I can decide, well, okay, there is a phrase called dirty markup. I either decide to write about dirty markup, but structured data, a data little secret, is probably not a good idea. So I have to decide what to do with this. Something that's semantically a long way away from the tree. It's creative for sure, but it may not help your brand to focus on the things that are important to your brand. It's a choice decision. But the concept of being semantically close between different entities and ideas, I think, is a very interesting differentiator between human thinking and machine responses and machine generated text. What do you think?